What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to make these 3 loading animations in Apple Motion. These animations are a fun way to start a video or to interrupt a video in the middle if you have some sort of special message. The time code to all of these animations will be linked down in the description box below if there's one you really like and you want to get started with. And also, I want to let you know that all 3 of these working files will be available on my Patreon. Yes, I do have a Patreon, and you can access these working files if you want to dig around in them and reverse engineer them a little bit. I know sometimes you guys ask me for that. So check out my Patreon. I will link to it below. All right, let's just get started in Apple Motion with the first tutorial. All right, let's start a new motion project. This is a 10-second project at 24 frames per second. And the first thing I'm going to do is head on over to my shape tools, grab the circle, and I'm going to hold down my shift key as I click and drag in my canvas to draw a perfect circle. Then I'm going to head on over to my inspector window, over to properties, and reset these parameters to make sure it's perfectly centered. And I'm going to make this circle a duration of 1 second and 20 frames. So what I'm going to do is queue up my playhead in my timeline to that point, select the circle in the timeline and hit O to make it jump to that length. All right, I want this circle to be a gradient around the shape, but if we head on over to shape in our inspector window on outline and drop down on the brush type, there is no option for gradient. We have to do a workaround. This is a little bit of a hack. I cannot wait to show you. So what we're going to do is head on up to shape style, go to abstract and select dots. And now our circle is made up of dots. And what we're going to do is reduce the spacing all the way down to 5%. And so it looks solid once again. Then let's head on up to stroke. And the first thing I'm going to do is change the opacity over stroke. So we're going to drop down here and I'm going to add a color marker here in my spectrum. Now we can see the opacity over stroke is all white. This whole bar is all white. If we make this last point black by dialing down the opacity all the way to 0, you can see what happens to my circle. It fades out at the end. If I wanted it to fade out sooner, I would just reposition this black box, but I'm going to leave it here at the end. Now we're going to go back up to stroke color mode. Instead of use brush color, we're going to select color over stroke. And you can make this any color you want, but the secret is that the last color and the first color should be the same. All right, now let's make that circle right on. So we're going to make sure we're selected on it in our project pane, head on up to behaviors, and we're going to go to shape and use the right on behavior. You can see now that that right on behavior has populated in my inspector window. We can also see it down here in the timeline. If I run my playhead, you can see how this looks by default. Let's head back over to the inspector and make some adjustments here. We're going to leave the shape outline on draw. We're going to leave the direction on forward, but we're going to change the speed to ease both. And then we're going to keyframe this stroke length line here. So I'm going to queue up my playhead to about halfway through my animation. And I'm going to create a keyframe here under stroke length. And we're going to make the stroke length 45% at this point. And then we're going to jump to the end. We're going to change that stroke length value to create another keyframe. We're going to dial it very, very small, not quite to 0, but almost. So that's one loop around for our circle, but we want it to continuously loop. So I'm just going to grab that circle in my timeline, right click it and duplicate it, and then stagger the timing a little bit. Let's just play with the timing here. I want there to be a little bit of overlap. And then once we figured out how many frames of overlap we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we've got 7 there. I'm going to duplicate again, and so on and so forth to fill my 10-second project duration. And you, of course, could leave that there like a little buffering circle, but if we want to make it look like it's loading, we can add some text. I'm just going to grab the text tool down here at the bottom below the canvas, and I'm going to type in the word loading. Let's scale that up a bit. I'm going to make it the text centered. I'm going to head on over to properties, reset the parameters so it is dead center. And I'm going to adjust the baseline here on the text so that it is in fact centered in the circle. To help me out, I'm going to head on up to view at the top of the canvas, and we're going to turn on the grid. And then this line right here is my middle line. So I'm going to reduce the baseline so that that loading text is dead center. Let's turn off that grid. And then to give this a little bit more action, let's select the loading text in our project pane, head on up to behaviors, parameter. We're going to drop on the oscillate behavior. Under apply to, let's drop down the 2. We're going to go to properties, blending, and opacity. We're going to leave the wave shape at sine. Phase stays at 0, amplitude at 100, and we're going to crank up the speed to 44. And there is our first loading animation. All right, let's move on to our second loading animation, the one that's a line. The first thing we're going to do is head on over to the library, generators, and grab the stripes. I'm going to drop them right into my project pane. And I'm going to leave the color of these stripes as the default. Let's head on over to the inspector window and increase the width and height of these stripes just to make it a little bit bigger. I don't want to increase the scale under properties because it's just going to make my stripes bigger, and that's not what I want. All right, now let's head on up to library and grab another generator. This time we're going to grab the gradient, and I'm going to drop it above my stripes. Let's head on over to the inspector window so that we can play with the color of this gradient. And again, you can make this whatever color you want, doesn't matter. I'm going to play with the start and end Y values on this gradient so I get a really feathered look. I'm also going to change the gradient width and height to match my stripes. So now they are both the same size. And the last thing I'm going to do is head on over to properties and change the blend mode from normal to add. So now you can see what's happened. Our black stripes are now gradiated and our white stripes are still white. All right, now I'm going to group both of these elements together and rename it stripes so we can keep track of it. I'm going to make sure I'm selected at the group level, head on over to properties. Let's change the rotation on this to a -30 value. And now again on that group, I'm going to add a behavior. We're going to select it in our project pane, head on up to behaviors, basic motion, and motion path. And you can see here what's happening in my timeline. By the end of the timeline, the stripes are almost completely off the right side of the screen. And at the beginning of the timeline, it is full screen. We're going to make some changes here. I'm going to select the entire group and I'm going to queue up my playhead to the end of the timeline. And I'm going to reposition these stripes so that they are basically lined up toward the right side of the screen by the time the motion path ends. And then we're going to queue up my playhead to the beginning of the project, select the motion path in the timeline so I can see the animation path here. This is this red line. And I'm going to select the start point, which is this left point here. And I'm going to hold down my shift key and drag a little bit to the left so it's a little further off screen. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to mute that entire group. Now I'm going to select the topmost group in my project pane. I'm going to head to the shape tools at the bottom of the canvas. I'm going to draw a very skinny rectangle in the middle of my canvas. Let's head over to shape in the inspector window and let's reduce the width on that outline to 10. So it's nice and skinny. Let's change the color. And under geometry, I'm going to change the roundness so that the corners are a little more round. A value of 20 looks pretty good to me. Now under properties, I'm going to reset these parameters to make sure it's perfectly centered. Now I'm going to select that rectangle again in my project pane. I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate it. So I have two versions of that rectangle. On the copy version, let's head over to style in the inspector window under the shape tab. Let's turn on the fill and turn off the outline. All right, now let's head back over to the stripes group. I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to make sure it's selected in my project pane, head on up to object and add image mask. And then in the mask source well, I'm going to drag that white rectangle copy right into that well. And there you go. All right, now let's add in our loading text. So I'm going to make sure I'm selected on the top group. I'm going to grab that text tool below my canvas. I'm going to once again type in the word loading and resize it. We've got it at a value of 103. That's important to note because we're going to head on over to the library and under generators, we're going to look for the one that says numbers and we're going to drag that above our loading text in our project pane. Head on over to the inspector and we are going to make some changes here. We want the start to be 0. We want the end to be 100. Under format, we want the number to be a percentage. Let's head on over to format here And let's change the size of that font to 103 to match our loading. And then under properties, I'm going to reset the parameter so it's dead center. I'm going to do the same with my loading text. Make sure that's dead center as well. We want to make sure that they're both center alignment. I forgot to do that, guys. There we go. I'm going to group these two elements together, the loading and the numbers text. And I'm going to call that group text to make sure we can keep track of it. Under properties, let's reduce the Y position so they're both on the same plane. Then let's select each of them individually and just perfect the spacing. I'm just going to eyeball this. And the last thing we need to do is perfect the timing. So once these stripes fill the rectangle, that loading number should be 100%. So I'm going to make sure I'm selected on the numbers in my project pane or in my timeline. And I'm going to drag the end of it to the point where those stripes fill up the rectangle to bring that value to 100 at the same time. So it's all coordinated. And then the trick with the numbers generator is a little funny. There isn't an end offset line under the numbers generator to hold your final value. So what I like to do is duplicate those numbers. And under the generator, we're going to start it at the same value as the end value. So now our duplicate down here is just holding the 100%. And then I just play with it in my timeline so that it's a seamless jump from the end of the actual animating numbers to a static number. All right, that is our second loading animation. Are you ready for the third one? All right, for this last one, we are going to grab that rectangle tool and we're going to draw a rectangle freehand in our canvas. Under shape, we are going to change it from outline to fill. And we're going to change it from color to gradient. And once again, just pick whatever colors you like. All right, the next thing we're going to do is change the anchor point of this rectangle. So head over to your anchor point tool down here at the bottom left of the canvas and hit this drop down for anchor point. Or you can right click in your canvas and select anchor point there. And you're going to get this little icon. This blue dot represents your anchor point. You guys, if you are a little bit lost with anchor points or anything else you see in this motion tutorial, I do have like a course on motion to really get you started. So my tutorials and any other tutorials you see here on YouTube are easier to follow. I will link to that down below if you guys want to check it out, okay? So here we are with the anchor point. I'm going to reposition it by grabbing this green arrow and making this anchor point in the rectangle right at the top center of the shape. Now we're going to add a behavior to this rectangle. Make sure we're selected on it. Head on up to behaviors. We're going to go to parameter and we're going to select oscillate. And then under the behaviors tab in our inspector window under apply to, we're going to go to properties, transform, rotation, and Z. Under the wave shape, we're going to leave this as sine. We're going to leave the phase to 0. The amplitude, we're going to turn down to 19 degrees. And the speed, we're going to increase to 25. So now we can see that the rectangle is swinging back and forth at our anchor point. Now let's add a little bit of a dip at the top of our rectangle. So we're going to select it in the project pane, head on up to filters. We're going to go to distortion and select bulge. And I'm going to reposition the bulge to the top of the rectangle. Let's head on back up to behaviors, back to parameter, and oscillate again. So we're going to have two oscillate behaviors on this rectangle, but this time under the apply to line, we're going to drop down and apply it to the bulge filter and center and X. We're again going to leave the wave shape on sine. The phase will stay on 0. The amplitude we're going to reduce to 0.17. And the speed we're going to increase to 27. So now we can see that that dip is going back and forth across the top of my rectangle. Now I'm going to play a little bit more with the bulge filters. If you try to do this backwards, you're going to run into problems with your behavior if you make the bulge too big at the beginning before you've applied the behavior. So let's select the bulge filter in our project pane and let's play a little bit more with these values here. I'm going to reduce the scale so that we get more of a dip. And I'm going to increase the amount. The last thing I'm going to do with this rectangle is add a motion path to this. So we're going to select it, head on up to behaviors, basic motion, motion path. So I'm going to cue up my playhead to the very beginning of the timeline. I'm going to grab that first point and drag it down. I'm going to hold down my shift key as I do this to make sure that I'm going straight down. And then for our endpoint, I'm going to drag it and make it vertical. All right, let me zoom back into my canvas so we can see what we're doing here. I'm going to mute this rectangle for now so we can work on other elements. We're going to head back down to our shape tools under the canvas. This time I'm going to reach for the circle tool. I'm going to draw a circle in my canvas by holding down my shift key so it's perfectly round. Under properties in my inspector window, I'm going to reset the parameters so it is perfectly centered. Let's head on over to shape, and we are going to select shape style, select abstract, and select the dots. We're going to reduce the spacing all the way down to 5% so it looks like a solid line again. But now we can change the color over stroke. So select the stroke tab under the shape tab in the inspector window. Under the stroke color mode, we're going to drop down to color over stroke, and we're going to change the color of our circle. Back under style, under our shape, I'm going to reduce the width of this circle to a very, very, very skinny line. We're down to 4. All right, let's duplicate this circle by selecting it in our project pane. We can hit Command D to duplicate or just right click. Now with that circle copy, I'm going to turn on the fill and turn off the outline. Now we're going to select that rectangle we made earlier. I'm going to turn it on so we can see it. Head on up to Object, Add Image Mask, and then we're going to drag that white circle copy we made into the mask source well. And the last element we need to add, of course, is our loading text. So one more time, I'm going to reach for that text tool down at the bottom of my canvas. We're going to type in the word loading. I'm going to make sure the alignment is centered. I'm going to increase the scale to whatever I think looks balanced. Under the properties tab, I'm going to change the X position to 0 so it's nice and centered. I think I'm going to reduce the size a little bit. And I think I also want to increase the tracking on this text. So I'm going to head over to the text tab, and under tracking, we're going to increase the distance, the spacing between the letters. Now let's add a behavior to that text. So select it in your project pane, head on over to behaviors, text basic, and you're looking for fade characters left in. Now select that behavior in your timeline or your project pane and drop down on the controls, and we're going to make some changes here. Under from, we're going to go to through. We're going to increase the spread to 29. We're going to leave the direction on forwards. We're going to leave the speed onto ease out, and we're going to increase the loops to 5. And I'm actually in the timeline going to lengthen this behavior all the way to the end of my project instead of the default length. And so now 5 times it's going to fade in characters left. So there you go, guys. That is our last loading animation. What did you think of this tutorial? Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. Don't forget to check out my Patreon if you want to get a peek at these working files. I picked out some other videos I know you're going to love. I'll see you again. Thanks for hanging out.